Hey, thank you for joining us. My name is Dr. Andrew
Hold
McQueen.
on, that's good. Just hold on.
Okay, and I'll stop there. But you know what, I want to start with a question to all of you. How many of you here, when you went to college, were thinking about a career? By a show of hands. By show of hands. So, again, when I went to college, I was thinking of a career. I had something in mind. Maybe it was an engineer at the time. At 1 minute, it was pre-med. It was a bunch of things, depending was computer technology. But when you look at today's college student, that's not always the case. I actually have 3 college-age students in my house. Okay, they're not in the house, but 3 college-age kids. And guess what? Of my 3 college-age kids, only one of them is thinking about a career. The rest of them, well, yeah, I'll take some classes and dabble here. And then there was one who said, you know what, Dad, I'm going to do a gap year. Really? Okay. So that's kind of, that was going on in my house currently. Okay. So that's just reality that some of us are facing right now. And so as we see, we're our IT coming up here. College to Career, the Student Journey is the title of our presentation. So really, this is a collaborative effort which brings together the professionals from various institutions. And next slide, there you go. So we have Sarah Herman, College Controller, Kalamazoo Valley Community College. Taylor Mill, Director of Operations, Mount Calm Community College. Ken James, Chief Diversity Officer, Muskegon Community College. Carly McCall, Director of Alumni Engagement, Northwest Michigan College, also our IT person. Myself, I'm the provost at Wayne County Community College in Detroit, Wayne County Community College District in Detroit, Michigan. I'd like to also recognize our advisor, Paige Egan. She's a provost and vice president for instruction and student services at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. The focus of our project, really is to examine and enhance the student experience in higher education to the workforce. And we're going to focus on the tangible benefits to the various stakeholder groups. As an overview, we're going to begin by outlining the purpose and objectives of the project. And then this will include the primary goals we aim to achieve and the scope of our initiatives. So from our interesting slide here, we're going to talk about assumptions and base knowledge, the benefits and stakeholders. We're going to take you on a journey through talking about gathering the data, what we've learned, problem statement. We're going to go into the goals and measures of success and recommendations, and then provide you with the time frame for implementation, managing changes, and takeaways. Next slide. So for those of you who didn't see this yesterday, we're going to give it to you again today. The evolution of community colleges. There was Community College 1.0, which focused on access and affordability. We're basically just trying to get people in the door. Community College 2.0, there was an evolution here that took place. So now we're going into completion. So the student success, emphasizing retention, completion, academic support, all those things became the keys. And then finally, where we are today in Community College 3.0, and that represents the evolution that we're currently in. Here we're talking about increased adaptability, technology integration, and workforce alignment. For Community College 3.0, it prioritizes personalized learning experiences, leveraging advanced data analysis and digital platforms to meet the diverse needs of students. And that's important, that's critical in what we are doing across the board. For Community College 3.0, there are also various stakeholders that we want to mention and emphasize. We have our students. For Community College 3.0, we're providing them with improved educational outcomes and personalized and technology-enhanced learning. For faculty and staff, and in particular for staff, we're providing them with streamlined administrative processes through the use of technology. For faculty, we're giving them opportunities to learn and implement new technological resources and methods. And for our final stakeholder group, which is the community and the workforce. For the workforce, now we're producing a workforce that meets the needs of the local industries, in turn driving economic development. And for finally, the final group of stakeholders, we're talking about our community. Now, we all know that we work in the community, and so that's very critical, as well as our students, along with faculty and staff. And so for our community, we're going to strengthen the relationships between the college and the community that the college serves. And so with that being said, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Mr. David Mill.
Thanks, Andrew. Great. So many people here have had lengthy careers in higher education. And those of us that don't only feel as if we've worked here for a lifetime, kind of like dog years. So regardless of how much time we've served here, it's easy to put together some preconceived ideas of what we have at our institutions, and it's dangerous to assume. So I've posed 4 questions for all of us. And so you can like raise your hand, nod, or stare blankly back at me in agreement, and we'll consider to win. So firstly, do any of the folks in this room have students that are at your institutions that have complex and varied lives? Outstanding. We've got folks on campus that are there taking swimming lessons or in dual enrollment or early middle college, all the way up to lifelong learners and folks that are returning to academics. Secondly, any students on your campuses identify as like underserved populations. Regardless of your geographical location, there are students that need extra help on campus. Next, any students that enroll in your institutions stay with that program for their entire college careers? Two students. So agility is a key factor. That's for you, Kevin, in the back. Agile. All right, you got it. And then one easy one for all of us. Do any of your institutions fall between the smallest and the largest institution? Yeah, there was more blank stares on that one. We'll call it win. In our group, we have folks representing Wayne County Community College District, one of the larger institutions, and then myself coming from Montcalm Community College. There's many different geographic issues that face both of our campuses. So these are some basic assumptions. Let's jump to the next one. So in addition to some of those assumptions about our college campuses, we had some ideas, preconceived ideas about what benefits may lie before us. So firstly, focusing on college to career provides students with a tangible application of the work they're doing. Oftentimes when students are coming to us, sometimes they're barely getting there and they're not necessarily thinking about the next step. And so focusing on this data helps to provide that tangible expectation of how their career will turn into a job. Secondly, by embedding these strategies discussed within this project that we have here, we verify that the choices that we make are student-focused truly, and not some sort of student success project like that's hiding within some other initiative within the institution. And I have 2 examples of that. One of them, it's kind of a confession, because our group was, we messed up early on. When we were talking about issues, it's just how it is. We were talking about issues that students have interacting with some of how we represent that pathway from college to career. And we kept trying to think like, why don't they do what we want? They need to think like us, and they need to follow our rules. They don't check their email. You know, they don't interact with us. We need to teach them how to function. And we were gently guided by our advisor to say, hey, maybe it's because we suck. Maybe it's because like we're the problem and it's not the student's fault. Maybe she didn't say it like that. Yeah, you're right. I said that. It's inappropriate. But like, let's look at us rather than let's look at them. And then there was some other things like I have a hard time navigating some of the choices that we make on our college campuses that seem like people use student success as kind of a mask to say, oh, we're doing this for the students. But then after you dig into it, it's like, oh, are we? You know, that doesn't seem like the right thing, whether it's faculty negotiations or constructing a new building or deciding where we're gonna have students park on campus. Like using this data that we discuss later, it helps to provide accountability that we are doing all of this for students and their success. I mean, that's where this kind of wolf in sheep's clothing thing is. I don't know, just interesting. And then lastly, this provides like the practical example to our community, which is a large stakeholder of ours, that the goal of what we do is to benefit this group of people that live within this environment and those that go off into the workforce outside of our communities. So these are a few of the potential benefits to stakeholders. There's many more, but we'll transition on and keep rolling. I'm going to turn it over to Carly to talk a little bit more about it.
So as we've mentioned, all 5 of us are from 5 very different areas of our institutions. None of us have jobs that are particularly student focused. And so we bring all that to the table. We also know that we're from very different kinds of institutions where we're geographically located, the sizes. So we first felt like we really needed to get a handle on how that college to career transition was taking place within our own colleges. Where were our strengths? Where were our weak points? What was going well? What wasn't going well? So we decided that we would put together some materials and do a survey on our own campuses, particularly with the people who work in that transition. So with our advisors, our student success coaches, the folks who help our students get from college to career. We will confess, we used a little ChatGPT to get us started. We didn't even really know the questions to ask. And so we threw out there, what are the steps to help a student move from college to career? And you ask the questions a couple different ways, a couple different times. You get some great lists. And from that helped us organize things and percolate a lot. We decided to construct a survey in 2 different parts. The first part of the survey is related to concepts and concerns related to transitioning from college to career, misconceptions on the side of the college, misconceptions on the side of the students and their families. And then the second part of the survey is 10 steps in moving from college to career and how do we perform in each one of those areas. We sent the survey out to 140 people on our campuses and we received 81 responses back, which is a pretty good response rate. We had vested interest and we were able to tell our friends to ask them to do this for us. So we'd expect a pretty good response rate. So in terms of the content of our survey, as I said, the first part was about conceptions and concerns. We had 13 questions, just giving you a couple of examples here. So one example would be students enter school X with an awareness of career options beyond what their family and friends do for a living. And so, is this true or is this not true? Second question, school X needs more resources to provide job placement and networking opportunities. Is this true? Or no, we have all the money that we need for this. So those were our 13 questions, things like that we asked people to answer. And then the second part that's more process oriented, we identified 10 different steps in the process of moving from the classroom to the workforce. First one being goal definition. Assess skills, interests, values to understand strengths and passions to find short-term and long-term career goals. And the way that we posed this was, do we do this well at our institution? Okay, not so good, or we really suck at it. And we asked everybody to rank where we were on each one of these steps. Another example of this, interview preparation. Practice common interview questions. Learn about the companies you're interviewing with to understand their culture, value, and the position being applied for. So how do we perform in each one of those areas? We got a lot of stuff back. We can send you lots of charts and numbers and everything. What we saw was a lot of similarities between our schools. And what we tried to do was identify the biggest gaps, where we thought we should be versus where we were. And we had some similarities, we had some differences. One thing popped out that was like consistent across all of our schools is this concept of students understand that finding a career path starts the minute they begin their college career. So out of all of the things that we could have tackled, internships, picking majors, job visits, part-time work, this was one consistent factor that we wanted to focus in on. Do students start to engage in career research, in career investigation right away when they start college? So consistently across the board, this was ranked at all of our institutions as somewhat false. So then our question became, what could be done to create a measurable shift in students beginning their career planning earlier in their education? And this is one of the challenges with all of these projects, is that we had big, vast topics. And your first challenge is to hone in on something and develop a game plan for how that something could be addressed. So this is where we came up with our problem statement. Community colleges face a challenge in making existing career resources more tangible, with a focus on improving relatability and accessibility for students. And how we tie that together, we're going to focus on those tangible, relatable, and accessible messages. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, who's going to talk about goals and move you to the next step.
All right, good afternoon. So with respect to goals, some of the ideas that we came up with as potential goals really focus on those three words of tangibility, relatability, and accessibility. So some of the aspects relating around tangibility is, increasing awareness of existing resources that are available regarding career planning and exploration, and increasing the percentage of students who utilize those services to help them identify their intended career goals. With respect to relatability, using the right tools and messaging at the right time to reach students. Increasing awareness of the importance of post-college career planning at the early stages of their college journey with us. And then messaging that career planning is not just a one-time or linear process for both students and college staff. From the aspect of accessibility, messaging related to career exploration should be featured at every step in the process, not just, in advising or in career placement, but throughout the college, in marketing, in missions, onboarding, etc. We also need clarity and understanding of what tools are available, and then possibly exploring, the addition of new tools and systems that may better engage our students and meet them where they're at. And then another thing that's on my docket is measures of success. How might we measure whether or not some of these initiatives, goals are being successful? One way to measure this would be, or could be, improvement in ratings from annual student satisfaction surveys, awareness of services, use of services, student satisfaction with the services. From a department perspective, increase in percentage of students using the career services, and also potentially increase in percentage of new college students using those services, within their first year at our respective colleges. And then some recommendations that we came up with that could potentially be implemented as we embark on this, enhanced college to career initiative. Is assessing current strategies being used to inform students of resources that are currently available at our colleges. Are we reaching out to students in ways that the students are looking for the information? The old email/website versus how our students want to receive the information. Another recommendation would be to obtain a student voice when developing new or updated strategies for career planning and exploration. Those could include surveys, focus groups, student advisors in the discussion. And the one that I personally think could have the most valuable impact is to seek to find ways to embed career planning and exploration into the curriculum itself whenever possible, rather than making it one more thing that the student has to go out and do on top of taking classes and everything else that they have to do in their lives. Using that experiential learning and community engagement to give real world examples. Not just job placement type things, but bringing industry experts and leaders into the classroom to give them taste and a flavor of what those different careers could be and giving them exposure to different things that they might not otherwise get. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to the famous or infamous Ken James to wrap us up.
Thank you for that, Sarah. So some things that we thought it would be mindful for you to have when you think about staying mindful about college to career. Because the key thing is we need to advance the work. And if you could go ahead and put it on the next slide, please.
You want me to go to managing changes first?
Yes. So managing changes is something we want you to be mindful about when you think about going from college to career. And so here's some things that we came up with. And so I don't want to understate the fact that we were very diverse in our approach because of the institutions we represent. We talked about the geographic differences, the size differences, and what's important to us. But so here, I always like to do when I'm facilitating is to say, how do I make it home-based for me? So here are 3 topics I'm going to tell you. So the first one is, but our problems are different. And so when I think about that is, look at the diverse perspectives around your campus. How can you advance this to move forward when you're talking about college to career? Then there's that third bullet point, or the third in the middle. We are already telling our students everything. So one thing that comes up for me in my institution is we always hear underutilization. Well, we did this. There was a brochure. There was a pamphlet. No one came to the, seminar that we had at 5 o'clock. We even had pizza there. No one showed up. So how do we get better utilization? Because word of mouth is still the best advertiser. So if you can get people to come and commit and go something, they'll share that with others. And then thirdly we don't have time or money. And again, that ties into me. If you build it, they will come. So if you start experiencing real success around college to career, working with the employers, they're out there, people are coming back, you'll get more influence on that. And if we go to the next slide and talk a little bit about takeaways from our overall perspective. I really like this example because success comes in many forms. So again, going back to that survey, when I asked the people on our campus about college to career and what they saw, we had different definitions of what success was. So let me give you an example. We have a very robust welding program in our institution. It's a 2-year program, how we roll it out. About halfway through that program, all of our welders get certifications that make them eligible for $30 an hour plus jobs. So on our data, it doesn't look good because people aren't completing it all as much as we would like. But if you ask those people that went through the program, they got everything they needed. They were successful because they now have a livable wage type job. So college to career. But then we have individuals that come, hey, I just want my associates, or I just need these core group of classes to do something different at work, or I want that associate, I'm going to a 4-year because I'm going on to do X. So success comes in many forms. And so sometimes we have to think about, are we still being successful for who we serve? Does that align with the success that we want in our data outcome? And so the key thing is to have a plan. That bottom bullet point, incorporate career exploration directly into course content whenever possible to minimize creating an additional burden for students. So the key thing is to have a plan. So that was one of our takeaways. We can go to the last slide there. We did learn a lot from this, as you can see. Hopefully there's some things that you can take back to your institutes to just think about approaching it differently, looking at how you approach success, ways you can overcome challenges. And to do this, I do want to thank Dr. Egan for helping us form that problem statement. We kept talking about what was wrong, and we realized might be the way we're approaching this. So that was just a real tangible takeaway. But as you can see, the 5 individuals, counting myself, that we worked with, we're all very approachable. And so please feel free to reach out to us if you want to know how GPS helped put us up, how ChatGPT put us on the right track. Want to learn more about how we went through the survey process. If you want to see our actual survey results and think about some of the data you might get or any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. And the best way to do that, go to the next slide, is to email or call us. So there's our information. This concludes College to Career from our perspective, and we are available for your questions. Thank you.
Yes, I want to jump back to one that we kind of skipped through, which is about
that one.
which is about time frame. Just some concepts. If you decide on your campus that getting students in the door and working on career planning early on is that's a factor that you feel like you need to work on, then just some recommendations we have. First of all, our work is never ending. It will always be going on. We can always do better at so many things. We would recommend start with a baseline survey. If you don't have data, go get yourself some data first to figure out where you are. If you don't have a student awareness, engagement, satisfaction survey that's done on an annual basis, start to develop one. So you can ask students as they graduate, a year after graduation, how happy were you with the services that you got? And then figure out how within whatever department handles career services, whether that's advising or student success or some other area, what's your baseline measurement? How many students come in? Is it how many students declare a major? Is it how many students write down on a piece of paper that they know what their career is? How many of them walk through some sort of module that you might have to assess their skills? And make sure that that's something that you can pull those statistics on a semester basis within that department. If you have 2,000 students and you have 25 of them coming in to do this work in semester, and you would like to get to 100, then you want to be able to measure and track that you are increasing those numbers along the way. So just a couple of things about timeline. So, questions? I know it's the end of the day and this room has no oxygen left in it. I'll say when I walked in here from the other room, but you really have no questions.
Slides back.
2 slides back. Did you see a woman who asked for 2 slides back the last time?
It was the
He's so
takeaways.
nice, man.
I
2
guess.
slides back. Oh, the takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody think you have a beautiful website, a beautiful brochure? And students are, we talk, we have lovely websites. We send out amazing emails and they don't read them. They don't read them. So we talked a lot on Sarah's campus. They have, what's it called? Geographically based texting?
Oh, the geofencing.
Geofencing. How cool would it be as a student walked by your building where advising is, if somebody on their phone, have you checked in with advising yet this semester? I know we're not doing that. Would be like a little bit brotherish, but sometimes you need that, you know, or how else do you reach them? Do you put out flyers in your cafeteria? You know, how do you get them to pay attention?
Wait.
One of the schools, what school are we in? Was it Delta? That they had, I think, this is one of the things that's really cool about this program is how you get to go visit all these other schools. And I think it was at Delta that they had like a monthly newsletter in the bathroom stalls. We did not do that. Yeah, no, great idea. Lots of, you know.
That's what
Gonna read some. Any other questions? Cool. Thank you.